So this is very obviously going to be part 2 of reacting to my old TikToks. Specifically, we're going to finally get into the figure skating TikToks. Full transparency, this is not the first time I've recorded this video. For some reason, I didn't record the first time I did this video, and I got completely all the way through outro and everything without even noticing. So we're doing this again. This video is going to be the first video of this kind. There are so many TikTok videos that are specifically about my time in the skating rink. There's 72 total, but I'm gonna go ahead and break them up by era, or like hair color era. We have this first era where I have purple hair, then my red haired era is actually quite long, so I'm gonna break it up into long red hair versus short red hair, and then the last section is gonna be this kind of like in-betweeny purple red that I have, and it's pretty long and grown out. So this video is just gonna be about the first 12 videos I ever made about the skating rink. I only ever worked at a skating rink in Dallas, so all of these are from when I was in Dallas, and I mentioned it in my last video about TikToks, but I'm gonna say it again here. I made a lot of TikToks as kind of like diary entries and journal entries. Most of my TikToks around this time were actually about the abusive relationship I was in, as well as some like trying to understand and sort out my own spirituality TikToks, which is why they're now deleted completely off the internet. And so going to the rink and filming these silly TikToks and skating and joining hockey was kind of my escape from everything else going on with me at the time, which is why even though this job was kind of miserable and it was not a fun time, I still liked it better than everything else going on in my life at the time. But I think we can go ahead and start with our first TikTok as kind of an introduction into this whole skating world.
Hello everybody! Can you hear the wind? It's very windy outside. Anyways, today's my first day officially working at the skating rink. I'm super excited but also very nervous because I haven't actually had a job where I talk to customer in like 4 years. Wish me luck!
So yeah, that was the first video the day I finally got hired on at the rink. My TikToks never got a lot of views besides the like 2 that ever went viral. So this one got a very mixed reception. I had one comment that was like, good luck, have fun, you know, and then another comment that just said no one cares. So also, again, this was kind of like my journal, my diary entries. So the audio is pretty shit, I look pretty shit, and like the quality is just not good. But they were just a little bit of fun and a very stressful job. But now we can move on to the first video actually about the rink and working there.
Just finished getting yelled at by a lady who doesn't understand that schedules can change. Now I'm asking myself, is free ice time worth dealing with rude parents?
Yeah, so that video randomly went on for a really long time. Like I said, I was not good at editing at this point. And I mentioned it in this TikTok, but because I worked at the front desk, I got free time on the ice. So that was kind of the major draw for me to work there, was free ice time. Figure skating is very expensive, which leads to a majority of the issues about me working there. And my like typical 9 to 5, even though I usually work overnight shifts, is not a customer facing job. So going in to have to work customer facing jobs again after I'm not doing it for a long time was pretty nerve wracking to me. And I ended up getting yelled at almost immediately. Hockey parents are a different breed entirely. And you will see so many more examples of that as we go along. But yeah, getting yelled at because a schedule changed that you have no control over is not always fun.
Just got yelled at by 2 moms. When I told them the doors were not locked, they just didn't pull hard enough. Apparently it's rude to show them they open. Just fine law. They glare at me every time someone comes to the door and try to tell me it's locked again.
First of all, I'm gonna keep all the audios in for all of these because a lot of them it makes more sense with the audio, and I'm not making money anyway, so who cares? But like I was saying earlier, there's just something about hockey parents. They get set off so easily for the stupidest reasons. You've seen doors that go to like stores and stuff, big, clear, like glass doors, and they're just heavy at the rink. They were just heavy. And these moms were like, excuse me, these doors are locked. And I walked over there to show them that it wasn't locked, and they were pissy with me that I showed them that it wasn't locked. And then anytime anybody was struggling with the doors, they'd be like, excuse me, it's locked, like yelling at me from across the lobby. Fucking how would they have gotten locked? Did a ghost fucking do it? Because I've been sitting here behind the desk watching it. Nobody locked the doors. Again, I don't know what it is specifically about hockey parents who get immediately angry over stupid shit, and I don't understand how it's rude for me to show you that the doors actually work. Okay, we're gonna move on to a long one.
Ring, 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 ring. Hello? Hi, yes, I need to know what's going on the week of Thanksgiving. Just like in general, or are you looking for something specific? There's nothing going on Thanksgiving Day if that's what you're asking. No, Tuesday the 23rd. Okay, so, but like, what are you looking for? What do you mean, what am I looking for? I need to know if class is going on the 23rd or not. I need you to be more specific. Like, what class are you looking for? What do you mean you need me to be more specific? I need to know if there's class on the 23rd or not. Okay, well, I have the 23rd day open, so I can tell you there's 4 different, like, hockey time. That's just, like, an open practice, and then there's, like, a youth lesson in the evening, but there's only one. What are you talking about? I need to know if my class has been canceled or not. Okay, ma'am, well, what's the class you're looking for called? I just told you what we have going on that day. I don't know what the class is called. Aren't you supposed to know that kind of thing? Listen, what age is your kid? Like, what class am I looking for? I don't know if class has been canceled or not if I don't know what class it is. Is it really that hard to read a calendar? Why can't you just tell me if my class has been canceled or not? You know those papers that they keep behind the desk? Yeah, I bet you haven't seen them before. Why don't you turn around and look at them? Find one of the hockey schedules and then tell me if class has been canceled or not. Yeah, I literally just looked. We don't have any more of those schedules. Also, if classes have changed, there's a good chance those schedules are wrong. What do you mean they're wrong? I just picked mine up on Tuesday. Okay, well, like I just said, there's a good chance they might be wrong if something just ended up changing. When you look online at our online calendar, do you see classes there? It's not my job to look online. You're supposed to be looking at the calendar for me. How hard is it to look at a simple calendar? Okay, ma'am. Listen, I don't know what's going on with the hockey schedule because I don't play hockey. I will tell you, for the figure skating classes, whenever there's a class canceled, they refund that class. So did you get refunded? This isn't about figure skating. This is about hockey. I understand that, ma'am, but I'm telling you right now that I have experience with the figure skating classes, and they're very similar to the hockey classes, and if they reschedule or miss one of the classes, they'll usually refund you for it. If you got refunded, stop talking about figure skating. This isn't about figure skating. My kid's a hockey player. How hard is it to look at a schedule? Why can't you just tell me whether or not there's class on the 23rd? Hey, do you know what's going on the 23rd? No, I have no idea what's going on the 23rd. Well, can you come talk to this lady? She's real confused about her class schedule, but doesn't want to tell me what class. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll talk to her. Hello, ma'am? That stupid bitch, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I need to know what class your kid is taking in order to tell you if it's been canceled or not. Did you get it figured out? Yeah, we did eventually.
Yeah, so like I said, a pretty long video. Again, just something about hockey parents. I swear they're a whole separate brand of stupid and or entitled. So the main issue with this is a parent wanted to know if their kid had class the day before Thanksgiving. Fine, that's a fine thing to ask because things change. She very clearly had a paper copy of the calendar, but because paper copies of the calendar are printed at the beginning of the month, it makes sense that you would want to double check. However, we did have an online calendar that updates, so she could have checked that. Instead, she rather would have me check it for her, which is why she called the store in the first place. The issue is, she then expects me to read her fucking mind and know exactly what I'm looking for. And instead of trying to work with me at all to figure out what age her kid is, because that could tell me what class she's in, or if she just knew what class he's in, that would also be helpful. What skating level he's at? Is he playing for a team? All this information that would have been incredibly helpful, rather than just talking about how stupid I am and how unhelpful I am. I think in the end, they finally figured it out because the hockey coach was able to get out of her what her kid's name was. Because we can figure it out if we have literally any information. It's very circuitous and we have to go do a lot of digging to figure out what you're signed up for. But literally any information would be helpful instead of you just saying you should know or trying to expect me to read your mind. I don't know you, lady. I don't know your kid. I don't even know if you're signed up for classes. Just the basic entitlement and rage over stupid things that are normally their own fault is just so hockey parent coded. Figure skating parents also had similar issues, but the hockey parents were on another level.
A fun fact about me is I've never been relaxed ever.
Yeah, so just a short, fun little video. This was probably on a Saturday. They had a really bad habit of the managers never coming in on Saturdays. I mentioned this in my video where I talked about how I got fired from the rink, about how the managers really disliked coming in on the weekends. And even though they knew that I worked third shift on Friday nights, they would sometimes schedule me for like 9 or 10 a.m. on a Saturday, which is, not very compatible with the work schedule that I had.
A parent just came up to me complaining we didn't have free coffee she could have.
Again, just kind of showing off this basic entitlement that these hockey parents have. I'm just sitting there doing my job and a parent walks up to the camera going,
Where's my coffee? Excuse me? Where's my coffee? Give me my coffee.
again, just like not even hi, hello, how are you? And I learned this later on because what a crazy request to have somebody just come up to you and demand free coffee. Apparently, before COVID, which I don't know because I never worked there, I only worked there like end of 2020 on, they had a little like table set up with some free coffee on it. And so parents would come up to me and be like, where's my coffee? Where's the coffee? Which is crazy that the parents got free coffee when our break room wasn't even a break room. It was where the skates are, directly next to that, behind a wall. And all that we had there was a fridge that sometimes worked. And the freezer in that fridge was dedicated to hockey pucks. For some reason, they kept the hockey pucks on ice. There's probably a reason for it. I don't know it. And this happened, honestly, way more than it should have. Parents just coming up to the desk and demanding free coffee. And it's like, where do you think you are? Anyways, the entitlement never ceases to amaze me.
A mom and kid came in 30 minutes after their 30-minute hockey lesson was supposed to start and were surprised the coach had already left. He was here for an hour waiting on them.
Again, this just unbridled confidence in being right when you're so not. It is best practice to come early to any private lesson. Any lesson at all, honestly. For hockey, it takes a long time for kids to get their gear on. Shit, sometimes it takes a long time for the adults to get their gear on. I never had that issue. It took me like 10 minutes max to get my gear on. But people will come to hockey games sometimes 2 hours early to get geared up and warmed up. So it's best practice to come to your lesson early, again, to get geared up and warmed up. Even if you're doing figure skating, sometimes kids have a lot of trouble putting on their skates. So making sure you have time to get your skates on, comfortable, not hurting, and to do a few warm-ups. Because once you're on the ice, that's time you paid for. You don't want to spend your actual lesson doing warm-up stuff. You want to be completely warmed up and ready to go by the time your lesson starts. Best case scenario, you get there, you get your skates on, you do an off-ice warm-up, and then you get on the ice and warm up a little bit. Again, that's completely best case scenario. So it makes perfect sense that the coach was there early. Also, sometimes coaches have lessons before and after you, so they'll already be on the ice doing a lesson. And the coaches at this specific rink were really good about, like, if you were late, waiting for you. I would text my coach, hey, I'm gonna be kind of late. She would wait for me, and then sometimes she would also discount me however much time I missed. But the audacity of this parent to finally show up with her dragging her child behind her at the time her lesson would be over, and then being mad that the coach isn't there to do the lesson? Of course not. You wasted his time, you wasted his money. A lot of people don't realize that coaches don't get free ice time. At least not at the rink I worked at, and not any rink I've ever seen. You pay to get on the ice at that rink, and even if you're a coach, it's usually super discounted, but still, that coach lost out money on you. He lost out the money for the rink, and he lost out the money that he could have made teaching a lesson for somebody who actually cares. And yet this mom comes in up to the front desk and starts yelling at me because the coach has left, despite it all being entirely her own fault. Again, the entitlement is crazy.
Dad walks up, asks if there's the 6-year-old practice today. I say it's not on the schedule, so no. He asked if the schedule even has the 6-year-old practice. Yes, it does, sir, but not today. He asks if it's Wednesday. No, sir, it's Thursday. He says the 6-year-old practice is on Thursdays at 5:30. First of all, it's 6:45, so if it was you would have missed it. I tell him the 8-year-old practice is at 5:30. He asks, are you sure 15 times? Even if it was you still missed it, my guy. I think you need to reread the calendar.
So I'll recap that if it was a little bit confusing. Dad comes in with a kid, 6-year-old kid, and he's like, I'm here for the 6-year-old practice. I'm here for the 6-year-old lessons, and we don't have any of those that day. I point at the schedule. This is the time you're talking about. 5:30 on Thursdays. This is not 6-year-old practice, this is 8-year-old practice. He assumes I'm stupid for some reason and demands that no, this is the 6-year-old practice on Thursdays at 5:30, which is wrong for many reasons. First of all, it's not. It's right here on the schedule that it's for the 8-year-olds on Thursdays. Also, for some reason, he thought the day was Wednesday. It wasn't, it was Thursday. And also, he was there at 6:45. So all around, you are in the wrong on so many levels. And I don't know what you want me to help you with. There's a lot of recurring themes of just getting yelled at for no reason. Like, what's the goal here? You yelling at me more doesn't make me fucking go back in time. And then also kick the 8-year-olds off the fucking ice so that your 6-year-old can skate. Like, it's too late. You missed your time, you're on the wrong day. What am I gonna do for you?
The best Chicago-style pizza.
Where's the cheese?
It's under the sauce.
There's no cheese on it.
It's under the sauce.
Like, I'm Italian and this is hurting me.
It's from Chicago.
But it's just sauce.
The cheese is under the sauce.
That's not enough cheese.
Cheese is under the sauce.
It's not enough. It's under the sauce.
Yeah, so obviously I used a lot of like trending sounds and stuff to put in my TikToks. But I can't tell if this is a symptom from talking to kids in general or specifically the hockey kids. But they just talk and don't fucking listen to the answer. Where's my sock? I don't know. Isn't it lost and found? No. That should be the end of the conversation. That should be where it ends. But instead, you have this kid that's like demanding for me to fucking pull it out of thin air or something. If it's not in the lost and found, then it's not back here with me. I don't know where it is. Go fucking search your locker room again. You probably left it there. One of your teammates might have grabbed it and put it in their bag. That happens sometimes. Although funnily enough, I did get my hockey skates from the lost and found because rich hockey parents do this funny thing where instead of being normal people, when their kids grow out of hockey skates, they just leave them at the rink, underneath bleachers, in locker rooms, just randomly in the lobby. So they end up in lost and found, and then we had a policy where if something was in lost and found for more than like 6 months, it gets thrown out or it gets taken apart, and like we use the parts to fix up some of our rental skates. So I got my hockey skates from the lost and found until one day I was practicing and I ended up kicking a hole through the front of the skates because they were like cheap plastic, and that was fun.
The best Chicago-style pizza.
Where's the cheese?
It's under the sauce.
There's no cheese on it.
It's under the sauce.
Like, I'm Italian and this is hurting me.
It's from Chicago.
But it's just sauce.
The cheese is under the sauce.
That's not enough cheese.
Cheese is under the sauce.
It's not enough. It's under the sauce.
Again, very popular TikTok sound at the time. You can tell it's the same day. And again, this might be a symptom more of talking to kids in general who just say shit and they don't communicate very well. But this also is a sign of how shit the hockey parents were. Those kids would just run completely rampant. You can be the judge on whether this is surprising or not, but the parents seemed to assume that all of the employees working the rink doubled as babysitters, which we fucking didn't, and it pissed me off a lot because I don't want to be here trying to take care of your fucking stupid child from dropping skates on his face. And then when your kid inevitably does some stupid, inane bullshit, why am I getting yelled at? Watch your own fucking kid. I don't think I've ever told this story on here before, but maybe I should. At the time, a guy came into the hockey rink with a knife, and there was just a bunch of kids all over the place because the parents were busy watching a hockey game and didn't want to take care of their own kids. Maybe I should tell that story. But anyways, watch your damn kids.
Sorry for how I look. I just woke up. And I'm sorry for any background noise. It's 30 degrees in this apartment, so I turned on the heater. I worked at the rink yesterday, but I didn't end up actually filming anything because it was absolute insanity yesterday. They had this skate with Santa thing where a person came dressed as Santa Claus. It was absolute nuts. We were already at max capacity when people kept showing up and we tried to turn them away, and that caused a lot of people to have complete meltdowns. Not the kids, mind you, the adults were doing that thing where they scream and yell, "I want my way." Anyway, so then we were over max capacity because the general manager of the rink was just let them in.
Okay, so this video is pretty long, so we're gonna stop here and talk for a second. This might remind you a lot about the story of when I finally got fired from the rink, because there's a lot of similarities, like the management not caring very much about capacity and letting the parents kind of do whatever the fuck they want. Parents screaming and demanding things, and even though the kids are being semi-normal, the parents are, demanding things that they shouldn't. And I do want to point out here, I said something about the parents were screaming I'll get my way. That's not a joke. There was one dad there screaming at the top of his lungs, "You're gonna do what I say! You're gonna give me what I want!" Excuse me? So this is the kind of shit I was dealing with when the managers were there. So take this story and compare it to the day the managers weren't there and 400 random people showed up at the rink. But anyways, let's keep going with this story.
And one of these people that came in screaming and yelling is the same person who a while ago I made a sketch video about. This lady has been in the rink before and always causes trouble. She never listens to anything I say. She absolutely hates me. So she came up to the counter.
I talked about she was in a previous video. I can't remember which video it was, obviously. Honestly, I can't remember which video I'm specifically talking about here, obviously. My guess is either the coffee one, because this lady is very entitled, or possibly the calendar one, so the first ever one, because she had a big issue with calendars, which we're about to see in the rest of the story.
And wanted her kids to skate skate, and I was like, I didn't even tell her we were at max capacity because I knew that was going to be a whole thing. She came up and demanded her kids to skate. I was like, fine. So I rang her up and she was like, no, my kids are free. And I was like, no, they're not.
We're about to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and I'm going to explain as we go because it can be very confusing. We have a thing called Learn to Skate. I have a little patch for it right here. Learn to Skate. This is like classes you can sign your kids up for, and then once a week, Saturday or Sunday, they come to the rink, they learn to skate. There are different levels for this. We've got pre-alpha, that one says alpha, hold on. Learn to Skate has a bunch of different levels. You got alpha, pre-alpha, gamma, beta, delta, a bunch of them. And so if you are in the Learn to Skate classes, you get 2 or 3 like free ice times. So you can come skate at the rink for free 2 or 3 times. It's meant to encourage kids to come practice without the teachers being there. So what this mom is saying is that her kid is enrolled to Learn to Skate, therefore she should get free classes. However, her kid was not enrolled in Learn to Skate, as we will soon see.
She's like, my kid's in Learn to Skate. I was like, your kid's not in Learn to Skate because we have this fight every time you come up here. Because she always tries to sign her kids up for higher levels than what they're at. So she never actually ends up signing her kids up for Learn to Skate because we won't just let her put her in whatever time works with her schedule. Because that's what it is. She has a specific time she wants her kids to skate, and that's not the same time that their level class is at. Anyway, so
let's talk about Learn to Skate levels and what I mean with all the scheduling nonsense. She has 2 kids, one's a hockey player, one's a figure skater. The hockey player is doing Learn to Skate, but also like is on a hockey team. So he is in lessons or on the ice for like an hour and a half. Learn to Skate for the figure skating side, each lesson block is about 30 minutes. So she wants her kids to be on the ice at the same time to be more helpful to her schedule. But that's unfortunately not how the real world works. For example, her kid is in, let's say, beta level, right? And she wants to sign her kid up for an alpha class, a gamma class, and a jumps and spins class, none of which are her level. And if she's a beta student, she can't do jumps and spins anyway. Each level you are tested. At the end of each like semester or block of classes, you are actually tested and graded on your abilities to see if you even qualify to move up a level. Because if you are a beta level skater in an alpha level class, you're not learning anything new. And if you're a beta level skater in a gamma level class, it's too advanced for you. The way the classes are done is building block wise, so you learn the basics and you learn a little bit more on top of each one. So going into a level that doesn't fit you is only going to cause problems. And also, specifically the classes she wanted to sign her kid up for were in chunks where they were like exactly an hour and a half in a row. So it wasn't like she was picking a time here, then waiting an hour, then picking a time down here, which would make sense. For example, if you're in a high enough level in your Learn to Skate, you can also take a jumps and spins class because they kind of synchronize with each other. And so you can focus on more rudimentary or entry-level things in your Learn to Skate, but kind of specialize and hone in on jumps and spins. But she very clearly just wanted 3 blocks in a row that matched where her son's time was. So she never actually ended up signing up for Learn to Skate because we kept telling her, no, you can't do that.
she keeps going, my kids are free. I'm like, your kids are not free. And she's like, well, I paid $17. So $17 is what you have to pay to be a member of the club. It's a stupid rule. I agree that it's stupid. But you have to pay 17 members to be part of the figure skating club. Then you also have to pay to be into Learn to Skate. The figure skating club gives you a number. The number lets you join Learn to Skate, and it also lets you join into competitions. So if you don't have the number, you can't do anything. So yes, you do have to pay that $17 first, which is a stupid rule. Anyways, I was trying to explain this to you join in.
So again, we have our levels. So let's say you're a beta skater. You want to compete. You must sign up for figure skating club, which I already said it several times in this video. I think it's stupid as shit. I think it should be if you're in Learn to Skate, you also get a number, a figure skating number. But anyways, you have to have a separate thing, which was the $17 a year thing that this lady's talking about. And it signs you up for your figure skating club, which then allows you to compete. However, you must compete at your level, so you have to make sure you're at the right level. Again, so if you're trying to compete, you first of all have to have a level, and it doesn't make any sense if you're going to compete to then take Learn to Skate classes that aren't at your level. I think you could take Learn to Skate classes without signing up to the figure skating club, and you definitely don't have to take Learn to Skate classes to compete. But again, they're going to give you tests, and they're going to watch your skills, and that's the way, if you're not taking Learn to Skate classes, how you can still compete. And how they know what level you are. They run you through tests and they make sure you can actually compete at your level. So while the level things might feel asinine, it is incredibly important to making sure your kid doesn't get fucking trounced every time they go to compete.
The competitions. So if you don't have the number, you can't do anything. So yes, you do have to pay that $17 first, which is a stupid rule. Anyways, I was trying to explain this to her and she just kept yelling at me over and over again. My kids don't learn to skate, and I kept trying to say, no she's not, she's in this other thing. But she wouldn't listen to me. Then she did the same thing she did to me the first time she talked to me. She just stopped talking to me together and turned to the person I was working with and tried to talk to them as if they were going to tell them something different.
Wildly rude, by the way. Wildly rude. She had a very bad habit of, if you were saying something she didn't like, just mid-sentence she would stop talking to you and turn to somebody else and start talking to them as if they were going to tell her something different. That's just not how it works, lady.
And of course the girl I was working with wasn't going to tell her anything different, so she started yelling at her too. And I was like, absolutely not. And then we actually had a manager behind us, and the manager was like, no. So she got the general manager, like of the whole rank, and then he went and got her and pulled her into his office, and they were in there for over an hour. Well, she was trying to get her way, and he was like, no. Anyways, the entire time her kids were running back and forth all over the lobby, going in and out of that office, basically being little shits. She did end up having to pay. So I just want to point that out. However, she also got her kids signed up for the wrong level. So we're going to take care of that later.
I don't understand the entitlement. Like, what do you expect is going to happen if you're a wild, raging bitch? Like, but yeah, that's the last one in this series of TikToks. Kind of your first taste of what it's like to work at that crazy rink, honestly. I hope you guys enjoyed watching all these old TikToks with me. I hope you guys are feeling better than I am right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.